the Antioch Public Library's 100th Anniversary Radio Show Podcast, brought to you by the 100th Anniversary Committee. Episode 3, The Second Librarian, Mrs. Marion Rigby.
Pandemonium liable to walk upon the scene to illustrate my last remark. John in the well, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? Man, they said you better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Latch on to that affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In-Between. No, don't mess with Mr. In-Between. To illustrate my last remark, oh, John in the way.
Good morning, everyone in Radioland. You're listening to The Breakfast Club on NBC Radio Chicago. I'm your host, Don McNeil, broadcasting live from our studio inside the Merchandise Mart. You just heard Accentuate the Positive by Johnny Mercer. Today is Monday, April 30th, 1945, and I am joined by two lovely ladies from all the way up in Antioch, Miss Marion Rigby and Miss Louise Voss. But first, I have a news update, including a word from our boys in service. Corporal Robert E. Berg, Antioch, recently completed his second year of overseas service with an Air Service Command chemical unit. He is now entitled to wear 4 gold-braided overseas stripes. Corporal Berg joined the Armed Forces in May 1942 and was stationed at MacDill Field in Tampa, Florida, before heading overseas. His company is now on duty at a large depot of the Air Service Command Supply and Maintenance Branch of the Army Air Forces. Over the weekend, the 90th Infantry Division of the United States Army liberated the Flossenburg concentration camp. Last week also marked the final evacuation of prisoners from the Dachau camp. On Saturday, partisans captured and summarily executed Italian fascist Benito Mussolini near Lake Como, just outside of Milan, Italy. His body was then brought to the city where it was hung upside down on public display. It seems the Second Great World War is nearing an end. Even high-ranking Nazi official Heinrich Himmler offered to surrender to Allied forces last week but has not been seen since. Unfortunately, these victories do not mean all is well at home or overseas. Rations and shortages continue to cause all manner of difficulty across this great country of ours. Allotments of canning sugar for the year remain at 20 pounds for each member of the family, with a limit of 8 persons per family, whereas last year's allotment was 25 pounds per person with no limitation on the number of persons in a family receiving it. But it is our patriotic duty to remain steadfast and strong while our boys are fighting for our freedom and the freedom of the world. I have no doubt these difficult times will be over and done with any day now. Then we can finally get back to normal. I'll return to speak with our guests after a few words from our sponsors. Shop A&P Food Stores, established 1859. Stop in for savings this week as we celebrate a banner food event. Founders Week. Bond's Sweet Pickles, 20 cents a jar. Sunnyfield Flour, 99 cents for a 25-pound bag. A&P Unsweetened Grapefruit Juice, 29 cents per 16-ounce can. Enjoy fresh oysters, only 79 cents a pint. And for dessert, a delicious 32-ounce coconut layer cake, 67 cents each. That's A&P Food Stores, owned and operated by the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. Welcome back, listeners. As I said before, I am talking with Miss Marion Rigby, the librarian at Antioch Public Library, and Library Board President, Miss Louise Voss. Lovely to meet you, ladies.
It's certainly a treat to be here today. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. I am excited to tell the world all about our library and the community we represent.
Now, Miss Rigby, you've only been the librarian in Antioch since February, yes?
You are correct, but I do have a wealth of previous experience in the Antioch Library. I have also served on the library board since 1933 and was president of said board in 1934 and 35. Additionally, I was board treasurer in 1936, 37, and 39.
Don't forget to mention you were installed as the president of the Antioch Township High School Parent Teachers Association earlier this month.
Now, Mrs. Voss, there's no need to boast. But it is true. I am an active member in a number of local organizations. I attended Antioch Township High School myself, and my father was a well-respected carpenter in the village.
For such a small town, Antioch sure seems to have a lot going on. What can you tell me about this little village up north?
The village of Antioch sprung up in bits and pieces around the resorts, vacation homes, and along the lakes. We are a fantastic and close-knit community who truly care for one another. The Antioch Women's Club founded our library in 1922, and we have been growing by leaps and bounds ever since.
In fact, we went from a village library to a township library in June of 1937. Our first librarian, Miss Mary Stanley, put in an incredible amount of work to see to that.
Why, yes, Miss Stanley devoted her spare time to tirelessly walking the country roads and visiting farmhouses to collect signatures in support of the library.
Speaking of Miss Stanley, I heard she passed away last year. That must have been difficult.
The community was heartbroken over her passing. Fortunately, Antioch Township now possesses a wonderful library, which we consider a monument to her many years of faithful service.
Always cheerful and alert in manner, Miss Stanley was an inspiration to all she came in contact with through her work.
In January, on the anniversary of her passing, the library purchased 2 books to honor her memory. Because of her interest in reading facilities for the children, we chose Gilbert Sullivan's The Mikado and Robert Lawrence's Hansel and Gretel.
What a lovely tribute.
Perhaps there are other individuals in the community who would like to honor the memory of a friend or a loved one by presenting a book to the library. This makes a more lasting memory than do flowers, which only last for a day.
I'm a tad confused. It sounds as though Miss Stanley left the library before her passing, which was a year ago. Yet you, Miss Rigby, have only been the librarian for a short while. How did that happen?
I have been working in the library since Miss Stanley retired. She was first succeeded by her longtime assistant librarian, Miss Betty Lou Williams. Miss Williams and her friend Geraldine Noe left for Alabama in November of last year.
The board wanted to find the best possible replacement for Miss Stanley and Miss Williams. We thoroughly vetted a number of excellent candidates and are excited to have Mrs. Rigby joining us now.
Aha, that solves it.
I don't think anyone could be more involved or dedicated to Antioch than you, Marion. You volunteer at the polls during election season, work with the schools and library boards, all in addition to being our librarian. Why, she even volunteers with the Red Cross.
Thank you, Louise. I cannot imagine anything more important than the work I do for my community.
You know, I myself have visited Antioch a few times. It really is a quaint town. And your library must be growing more and more every day. It seems each time I stop by, you have moved to a new location. Where is the library now?
We are at 883 Main Street, inside the Masonic Temple, where we moved in 1941.
The room where Mrs. Rigby does children's story times even has giraffe wallpaper.
Amazing! I believe we have time for 1 or 2 last questions before I have to say goodbye to you ladies. Some of my listeners may not have much experience with libraries. What do you provide that they can't get elsewhere?
We offer a number of services to the public. Not only do we provide good books and story hours, but we assist children with their homework and maintain a collection of periodicals for people to come in and read.
Periodicals, as in newspapers and magazines?
That's correct, yes. The Antioch Library first began carrying periodicals in 1939, and we maintain a number of subscriptions to this day.
Our selections include 17, Better Homes and Gardens, Jack and Jill, and Field and Stream.
The library is also a place where people can gather to read, study, or just relax without all the hustle and bustle of the city.
Yes, thank you, Louise. The aims of the library are to educate, to improve our ability to create and to appreciate what others create, to keep abreast of progress, to preserve our library heritage, to improve our leisure time, and to clarify the public issues of the day. The library is an excellent weapon to enable us to spot propaganda, which tries to influence us through our emotions rather than by use of reason.
Spectacular! I've never considered all the things libraries do for us. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you. Don, it was a pleasure to chat with you this morning.
Thank you, Mrs. Voss.
I agree. I enjoyed our conversation, and I am thrilled we were able to bring more attention to our library. I do hope we can make it back sometime soon.
I do too. Goodbye, ladies.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And now, to perform his smash hit, A Fellow on a Furlough, listeners, please give it up for Johnny Desmond.
He's just a fellow on a furlough, out looking for a dream. The one who's in his dreams every night. A lonesome fellow on a furlough, in search of company, somebody who will be his guiding light. Oh, pretty lady, you'll hear him say, beautiful
Next time on the 100th Anniversary Radio Show Podcast. Episode 4. Betty Lou Williams, the Third Librarian. This podcast was brought to you by the Antioch Public Library District. The screenplay was written by Rachel Stein. Research was done by Jennifer Drinka, Brenda Martinez, Rachel Stein, Katie McNatt, and Hilary Schneider. Edited by Brenda Martinez. The cast was played by Brenda Martinez as Mrs. Marion Rigby, Becky Jacobson as Mrs. Louise Voss, and Dan Labuda as Don McNeil. See notes for detail.